are three toxins which destroy the macrophage, releasing the new, now germinated bacteria into the bloodstream, where they spread across the body to destroy more living tissue. It is this trait of anthrax which makes it so threatening as a bioweapon. Using the spores, terrorists could infect millions of people through an aerosol, which would be tasteless, odorless gas. But to make the spores into an aerosol, the spores must be put into a special chemical to remove any electrostatic charge on them. This way, spores spread through the air easier. Otherwise, those charges, like magnets, will attract and those spores will clump together. The more spores clump together, the less effective the aerosol will be. This is what weaponized means, removing those charges to make a more deadly bioweapon. Anthrax has this advantage over other bioweapons because these spores are very stable, as Colonel Friedlander explains.
Well, what makes it a good weapon is the fact there are two features. One is that it's stable as an aerosol, and it is naturally infectious as an aerosol.
Anthrax bacteria require little additional treatment to make them deadly. He also mentioned that with the aerosol dispersion system, the spores could wipe out a very large population. In fact, the World Health Organization did a study analyzing the effectiveness of a biological agent such as anthrax on the population of a city. Christy L. Cohen stated that
from anthrax you'd have 100,000 deaths.
And that's not all. The identification of anthrax can be especially difficult. Dr. Aragon of UC Berkeley School of Public Health.
Once that toxin is out, it's really hard to reverse it. So even when you give antibiotics, the mortality rate is going to be high, probably at least 50% once people have gotten to that stage. So you can have a whole group of people who are presenting with symptoms that are not very specific. Some fever, chest pain, you know, they think they have the flu, and it could be an anthrax exposure. So anthrax was very scary.
Anthrax can hide in the symptoms of generic illnesses like the flu, as Dr. Aragon was saying. Because of this, treatment can often do nothing to aid the victim, since only the treatment, other than vaccination, is antibiotics. The antibiotics late in the cycle of anthrax are often ineffective at suppressing the bacteria, leading to death. Thankfully, anthrax is not contagious, but it is still very difficult to get rid of because of its hardy spore structure. And as Dr. Aragon again explains, the only real way to get rid of anthrax in a population is to catch it early in a patient and to treat them with both the antibiotic and the vaccination, a weakened form of the bacteria to program the immune system to catch it.
Even when you treat people with antibiotics, that spore can continue to exist for a long period of time in somebody's lungs. So not only do you have to give prolonged antibiotics for 60 days, but you also have to vaccinate that population.
So, what is America doing now? Bioweapons, generally speaking, have fallen off the radar of the American consciousness. However, because the anthrax attacks, now every U.S. military personnel received the anthrax vaccine, which has yet to be open to the public. In our times, bioweapons may seem to be a thing of the past, yet we must also remember that these deadly pathogens do exist, and now you know just what the most deadly and most likely choice of them all, anthrax, can do.
If I have troops in the field and somebody releases a biological weapon, how am I going to detect that? So it makes sense that it would probably be something that's aerosolized, because you have, in wars, you have airplanes. It's just part of war. And so you can imagine, instead of dropping bombs, they could be dropping biological agents.
Now, it's your turn. In the event of an emergency, it's important to listen to your local government to receive all necessary information and decontamination supplies. Take precautions when dealing with this deadly disease, and understand how anthrax can appear like other, less harmful illnesses. Understand the signs and be prepared. Bioweapons are a dark and dangerous side to modern biology, but it is a side we must live with in our times. When anthrax strikes, Will you be ready? Thank you for listening. This is Lucas Heflin, signing off.